Hi, I'm Yvonne Villarreal. I cover television for the LA Times. Thanks for being here on a Sunday. Joining me to discuss the episodes are Ewan McGregor and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Hi. Welcome to Culver City.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi guys, how are you?
Hi. So,
Give you a chance to have a pee after or not? Not yet? We'll be very quick.
two wine breaks, yeah. So, the series is based on the 2016 novel of the same name by, Amor Towles. And I know... Oh, I thought you had a question. Sorry. I know you were very struck by this, tale of a Russian aristocrat living under house arrest in this luxury hotel. You sort of had to pace the reading of the novel, right? Because you didn't want it to end. Talk to me about what struck you about Count Alexander and what he was grappling with as you followed his journey.
I think there's a character that comes along every once in a while that that you feel like when you've read him, and that was the case with me. I had spoken to Ben Vanstone, who is our writer and our showrunner of Gentlemen in Moscow, and I think I must have read at least the pilot script, if not the first two. I can't remember, but I joined the project with Ben, and there was an executive producer called Tom Harper, who I like very much, and the three of us were sort of there at the very beginning, which was nice for me. And then I read the novel, and as I was reading the novel, I knew I was going to play him, and so there's a sort of a extra special relationship you have when you're reading like that. And I don't know, I just fell in love with him. I felt like all I had to do was read the scripts and read the novel, and I had what I needed to play him. I just saw him so clearly in my head. I like lots of things about him. Mm-hmm. I could list them all, but you probably just you get it.
Mary, do you remember that period where he was soaking in that novel? Was he trying to get you to get a glimpse of it yourself?
Definitely. I just remember him falling so in love with it and just being like, oh my God, it's so good. It's so good as he was reading it. And then, as the story was unfolding and there was this character of Anna that was coming in and out of it, he was starting to kind of give me little hints. He'd be sort of reading in one room and sort of go, oh, this is a nice, page of the book. So he was giving me little hints that there might be something interesting for me to take a look at as well.
Did knowing that other readers felt this deep connection to not only the book, but this character, did that weigh on you in the process of filming, or were you able to sort of detach like this sort of responsibility of expectations?
Yeah, I never thought about it. I didn't think about it until after we'd finished it, and people kept telling me how much they loved the book. I think it's not useful to put that pressure on yourself. It doesn't help, and I felt like I say, his writing is so good. Amor's writing is so good that I knew who he was. I just had to play that. I just had to play him. I think we all felt like that about the characters we played. We just had to play the way he described them, and Ben adapted them for the screen. It was very clear, and so there was no pressure about it until like I say, after we'd finished, and then I realized how many people really liked it.
Like, you spoke with Amor before production began, is that right? Like, what did you want out of that conversation? What were the questions you had for him, or what did you want a deeper understanding before taking on this project?
I don't recall, but did I meet him before? I don't think so. I think we met him. We met him in Manchester. We shot the series in Manchester. We built the interior of the hotel lobby, bar, the restaurant at the back, the balcony. All of that is one huge, beautiful set, and off to the side of that is a corridor with some bedrooms that were the Count's suite, and what you'll see later on in the series, some other bedrooms that become important. and I think we were. I remember Amor coming onto that set. I can't remember why I started talking about the set there. It was just
Your
lost my
conversations
train
with him.
altogether. But I remember Amor coming to Manchester. So that set was in Manchester, and then there was various staircases, like the staircase up to my room in the attic was in Liverpool, and there was a corridor in Bolton, and there was another bit in Halifax, and we sort of shot all over the north of England in odd corridors and staircases that would link together on our beautiful big set. And so Amor came to Manchester, and we went out for dinner with him and his lovely wife and Ben. And that was the first time I met him, and by that time we were in it, and but again, I didn't have any questions to ask him because he'd written them all down in the book. You know, everything I needed to know was there.
Did he have questions for you?
No, he was an amazing collaborator in that he totally trusted Ben. Ben is a really, really good writer, and all the changes that Ben made were Ben's. He owned them. Like when we were having that dinner, remember, we were walking home afterwards going, fucking Ben is just like so... I'd be so embarrassed about the changes I'd made in front of the author. You know, Ben was like totally confident about them because that's his job. He's writing a TV series, not a novel, you know. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a fun dinner.
You know, his questions would be more just about us and our process, and, you know, because he comes from such a different world. He's very interested. Clearly, like the way that he writes, you can tell he's interested in people and from different walks of life. And so he was just interested to know what it was like to be sort of in our shoes throughout the process.
Well, your character, Anna, arrives in the second episode, as we saw, and she'll play a significant role as the series continues. But in the book, she's very mysterious. So talk a little about what pulled you in with her, and did you feel like I need to create a backstory for this character, and what was that process like for you?
I mean, I think, you know, even though she's mysterious in the book, she's such an incredible character. And I mean, really everything about her is intriguing, from the way that she begins, which you saw in this episode 2, to where she ends up by the end of the series. And to try and fill that in those 30 years just seemed like such an incredible opportunity. And it was kind of nice that she's mysterious because it made me feel like there was room for me to kind of bring myself to it, because she's not so detailed in the book that you feel like you've got to adhere to certain things. But I didn't really know how much the series was going to focus on her or the relationship with the Count. You know, there's so many characters in the novel and in the series, and there's so many different kind of places to go with it. So every new script that came in, I was really kind of blown away with how much we're getting to see of Anna and the inner workings of her mind and her vulnerabilities and the complexities of that. And I felt really lucky that I got to explore that with Ewan and everyone involved. It was a really beautiful thing.
What research did you turn to, or were there certain recordings you listened to or films you drew on?
Yeah, I mean, I tried to do research specifically on actresses of that era from Russia, you know, to sort of get an idea of what they were like. And there wasn't a lot of film or even photographs that I could find, you know, from the early 1920s. But there were a couple of stories that I sort of honed in on. There's an actress named Alan Azimova who has a really incredible story. And she reminded me a lot of Anna when I was reading about her, and including her backstory, which was pretty sad, you know, in terms of her childhood and the things that she had to deal with and overcome, and her drive to sort of become this performer, this artist. It really reminded me of Anna. So I kind of carried a bit of that backstory with me, helped me to shape Anna's backstory and helped me kind of shape the woman that she became from that. And then I kind of just let her grow throughout this story as it progressed.
Something else that required some growing, Ewan, is that mustache.
Yeah. Nice segue.
Poor Mary had to live with it for over a year and a half, you know.
Talk about that, because, you know, the strike sort of put things on pause production-wise. So what was it like living with that stash, and what is the art of the stash?
There's a whole, I mean, some gentlemen in here will be aware. This gentleman up there in a mask who's definitely sporting a beautiful big beard. There's a very strong subculture, or maybe not even but just culture of men's, gentlemen's facial grooming tips online, products. I used to have a little flip. I had a flip mustache comb that I could keep in my pocket, like an old-fashioned flick knife, just for the occasional. But the downside for me is that I'm not dark-haired, sadly, and my mustache is just is like yellow. I don't know, it's an odd color, isn't it? It's sort of like straw-colored, and
You like the Lorax?
doesn't look good. Yeah, it's an odd thing to have to wear in my real life, and because I don't know how many actors are in here, but you don't want to dye your facial hair because it can really take you can't guarantee how it's going to react to the dye, so you can end up looking a bit Groucho Marx. And so I didn't dye it. I dyed my hair dark, and I had a perm, and then I had a dark perm and a yellow mustache, and I looked like really odd. So I had to live like that for a long time, didn't I? And then the strike happened, and I didn't want to have. We'd shot almost 100 days, and we had 8 left when the strike happened. So I thought I don't want to. I didn't want to have a stuck-on mustache. That's why I grew it in the first place. So I thought I'm going to keep it. So I just grew a massive beard around it during the strike, like a nice big beard, not quite as long as yours, sir, but almost there. And that became quite useful. And as you might see at the very end of the series, we were able to utilize that beard, and that's all I'll say about that.
Was it hard letting go of it?
I shaved it off 3 minutes after we wrapped. I'd had it for literally a year. I'd started growing it in October in 2022, and then we shot the series all of last year because of the strike, and then we came back to shoot the very end of it the beginning of this year. So I'd had that for a long time. No, literally wrapped. We had a scene outside a building in a pretend snow, and they said, "That's show wrapped." Everyone cheered, and we all hugged each other. I got in the car, drove to the unit base, and razzed it straight off. It was great.
Do you wish you could still twirl it?
I do, but I'm driving. I can't help. I've got like a phantom mustache, Yeah.
Mary, you're glad it's gone?
I am. I
Did you
look back
enjoy
on it fondly, absolutely. But yeah, I was ready to just see his face under there because it had been shrouded for so long. So yeah, I was happy. I was happy to see it go.
Yeah.
Something that I didn't know was that, as people will see as the series continues, there are some intimate scenes, obviously, between you two, and you did use the intimacy coordinator. What was that like as a married couple? Like, how essential did you find that process for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was great. It was actually my first time using one, which was kind of ironic considering it was with my husband. So you could, from one point of view, it seems unnecessary, but from another point of view, it was just great to see what the future of that looks like. And I think that's why we were interested in doing it. For one thing, it was a part of the production. That was a job that was a part of our production. And it was really useful to have in terms of coordinating with everyone what that scene was going to look like, or those scenes were going to look like. And making sure everyone's comfortable. There's a person that everyone can go to if anyone is uncomfortable. So it's about more than just us and our relationship and something that is necessary in a much kind of broader way, I think, to make the set a comfortable place to be for everyone involved.
Ewan, was it your first time with one too?
No. I've worked with intimacy coordinators for years.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a very, very important role. I think it's very important to safeguard young actors, older actors, any actors. It's a way to safeguard their, to give them the power that they deserve if they're going to be putting themselves in showing their naked body or simulating sexual activity. It gives you absolute power of control over that. And if you can imagine a situation with a young actress who's just starting her career, maybe working with a legendary older male director, it would be very difficult for that young actress to say, no, I don't think I'm comfortable to do that. Mm-hmm. So now she doesn't have to say it to him or her, the legendary director. She gets to say it to somebody whose job it is to translate that information. And so she's protected, or he's protected, and people don't end up doing work that they then regret or feel that they were abused or used for. And also just for even in our situation, it's also about your body, and it's about, you want that, you want to feel safe, that you're showing the parts of your body that are helping with the story and not more. And also you might not want, you've got somebody to talk to about all of the technicalities of that, okay? And they're always very, very nice, easy people to talk to, and there's not embarrassing, and it's a judgment. Yeah. You can talk about, okay, I don't mind my bottom being seen here, and
right.
Because then that's out there forever,
Yeah.
So I think it's a really important person it's a really important person in the filmmaking process now. I think it's very, very important.
As in the book, time moves quickly in the series, and days multiply. We come check in with Alexander over years. And I'm curious for you, all the while there's like famine being unleashed, there's like Stalinist terror happening outside the confines of the hotel. How is that for you to sort of calibrate like what his mental state was going to be at any given period of time, and like pace like where he was at mentally?
Yeah, it was very interesting. It was very interesting to sort of chart it, to think about it, and to because his Russia is gone right at the beginning of the show, and we see him having to let go of what he thought was important, and also protect the people he loves. When Fenty's character, you'll see later on, gets in trouble, he's now Alexander's the one who is saying, just be quiet, toe the line, don't get in trouble. Whereas at the beginning of the show, he would. So it was a complex and interesting, like a Rubik's cube or something, just to try and figure that all out. But it was a really lovely. I was talking about it earlier. We did this lovely exercise, which might not be relevant to your question, but maybe in a little bit. Mm-hmm. We did this movement class in the very beginning of our rehearsal process. And I'm embarrassed not to remember the name of the lady who ran the course, but it was just about movement and physicality of aging. We wanted the aging to be very subtle and but real, but without it becoming like a prosthetic show. And so part of that was the physicality of the actors and using their bodies, and we did this exercise. It was really interesting, where we just started at the beginning. We had to interact with each other, and not without words. So we'd walk around the room and we'd come face to face with each other, and we'd sort of interact as your character. And then we would get older as the exercise went on. And as I got older, the Count, I got freer and more quicker and more sprightly, because as he gets older, he's got his daughter upstairs, he's working in the restaurant, he's running around all the time, and also he's not carrying the weight of being a count anymore. He's a man now. He's a working man in the hotel. And so he became sort of younger physically as he went along, which was really interesting. I thought it was an interesting exercise. And it was very helpful as part of that sort of the arc of his story,
Mm-hmm. This is now the third project you worked on together, give or take?
Yeah, technically. We didn't have any scenes in the second one.
Yeah. Looking for 4. If anyone's got a script.
I was going to ask, are you still game to do it?
Yeah.
Have you developed a process for each other of like, okay, when we get home, let's not talk about it? Or do you enjoy talking about it at dinner?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we have any rules about it. I think, like Ewan was saying earlier, it's the same whether we're working together or not. We talk to each other about our day. So if we're working together, then yeah, we're going to talk about our day and what we thought about it and how we felt about it. We were really lucky on this one that there was very rarely any reason to vent or anything to feel really stressed about. We were pretty blessed in that way. It was a really great production, and we were really happy with everything. So we got to just kind of mostly talk about a lot of the other actors and how amazing they were on the scenes. I'm like, did you catch that moment? Did you catch that one? So yeah, it was really lovely. And we hope to do it again and again because we love it so much.
Well, the show recently aired its 5th episode. We've got 3 more to go. Is there anything you want to tease for the audience about where things are heading? Or why they...
No. I wouldn't want to run the risk of spoiling anything. But it's really lovely that you all decided to come out tonight to support it. And It's lovely to see you all, and thanks for coming. Yeah, thank you very much.
We ask so kindly that you stay seated as our guests make their way out, but thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey guys,
It's great
thank you
having
very
you.
much.